thank you guys so much for hopping on and telling us, sharing with us all the current trends that are going on in Kanban. Next up, we are going to talk to Kimmy Raji about a really exciting collaboration we've been working on with the Agile Leadership Network of Houston. And Kimmy, let me know if you're there and if you're ready to come on. And while we're queuing up Kimmy, I'll give you guys a little background. Kimmy is an Agile coach out of Canada. She's been running a DAC mentoring program, which is a global mentoring program for both mentors and mentees wanting to grow. So this is really exciting for both entry level and established Scrum Masters, also mid-level coaches that are looking to up themselves into enterprise coaching. And so we've invited Kimmy on to do a collaboration to come and talk to us about that tonight.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And it's so great to be here to talk to you about this mentoring program that we're going to be doing with ALNH. The January cohort started 1st of February, actually, and it was a great start. We had how many people? We had 50 people, and 20 mentees and 20 mentors, and there is even a wait list of mentors waiting to be matched with mentees. We have mentors who are across the world. They bring in wealth of experience. Some of them, if you look at the Scrum Alliance path, they are guide levels. CSTs, those are certified Scrum trainers, we have them as mentors. And if you look across the board in terms of Agile and Scrum, we have people who have been doing Agile for the last 15, 20 years. They've worked in various organizations. And like Melissa said, they have worked with enterprise level, they've worked with leaders, and it's just great to be able to leverage the experience and knowledge they have and to pass this across to people who are on the journey to on their agility or new to Scrum. If you have any questions, please let me know.
And is there a link, Kimmy, where folks can sign up if they want to mentor or be mentored?
Yes, so right now we don't have a website. We have we're hoping to build a website very soon so that we can gather, people can go onto that website and basically enter their details and they get matched rather than we waiting for the quarter to end and collating the mentors and the mentees contact. So right now we are using a Google Doc, which I will send to Melissa, and she can share with people who are interested in joining, and we will keep a data of the mentors and the mentees, and they get matched as soon as we have.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. So if anyone on the line is interested in participating in this program, if you guys can just drop an "I'm interested" with your LinkedIn handle, we'll send you the Google Drive link and get your information. I think we plan on launching this in May. And so we want to start accepting applications. And for ALNH, this has been more than a decade that we've wanted to bring some sort of mentoring to the community. So if you're interested in being a success story and growing your career, do drop that in the chat. And so next up, I just want to re-welcome for those joining. I'm having a bit of technical difficulty tonight with my PowerPoint presentation. So bear with me while I get this up and rolling to make sure you guys can benefit from all the information we have to share with you. This is our shameless photo opportunity. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing. And you guys who want to be filmed, we take our selfies and just have a little fun. And in lieu of not being able to meet in person, on the count of 3, we can all just say cheese. And this is something you guys can upload on your LinkedIn profiles. It's great for those who are job seekers to let folks know that you're enhancing your education. And it is a room full of folks tonight. Wade Pender is the absolute expert. So if anybody wants to know how to do this the right way, he has perfected it. And thank you guys so much. It's always nice to have a little fun, right? And so don't forget to tag us on your LinkedIn. And we also want to give a shout out. Oh, there it is. Now it's deciding to work for me and it's fast forwarding. Sorry about this. We're looking for new volunteers. We have a sponsorship lead opportunity. We also have a digital marketing opportunity that is, I think that one may be filled. We also have an open position for a community architect lead. We're really looking to partner with some of the local colleges and universities. So if you think you'd be a good fit for this, if you need some Scrum experience and want to work with a team on a Trello board, then this is the organization for you. And so we want to invite you guys to partake in that. Let's see here. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see the backup plan here. Here are some upcoming meetings coming up. On February 11th, we are partnering with Agile Denver and Agile Austin, and also Agile 20. So this is a global organization celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Agile Manifesto. And for this talk coming up on February 11th, we're going to have Dr. Jill Greenbaum. She's going to talk to us about living appreciatively and seeing the positive in life. Dr. Greenbaum is known globally for her BibCo skills, which is the art of writing or drawing out pictures visually, which I think she's the only person I've met that can probably give Dhaval, who's our speaker tonight, a run for his money. And so if you guys are interested in celebrating this event and networking with our other sister and brother organizations with Agile Denver and Agile Austin, please join us. The Eventbrite link is there. Also, we have some learnings coming up. So the Agile Learning Academy does some advanced coaching classes. I know myself and Susmitha and a couple of other folks on the line have had the privilege of doing some super interactive classes with them. And they're really great if you're looking to advance to a coaching level. Also, tonight's speaker, Dhaval Panchal of Evolve Agility, has an excellent classes for product owner. There's absolutely no PowerPoint presentations. They're very immersive courses. And Dhaval is also starting to offer some leadership classes, which we're really excited about as a community. Dhaval has taught all over the world, and we kind of get to have him all to ourselves here in Houston now. So we're pretty excited, and I encourage you guys to go on to Evolve Agility if you're looking to advance your trainings, and also to the Agile Learning Academy. Feel free to just take a screenshot of those items. and pay it forward. So if you guys are interested, join our tribe as a volunteer. If you have a topic that you're passionate about, feel free to become a speaker. Email us at info@alnhhouston.org. And also, we're free, kind of. Help us by providing feedback. So if you take a screenshot of this QR code, and we're also going to put it in the chat for you, one of the ways we're able to bring you guys quality speakers is by finding out what you're looking for and in the ways in which you're looking to grow. And that's by filling out this form. We do read them, we do look at them, and we do respond. Special thanks tonight to our sponsors, Evolve Agility, Agile Earth, Agile Learning Academy, VACA, Culture Architect, Cisco Foods, Whitaker IT are just some of the growing list of sponsors that we're really proud to support. Ask us how to become a sponsor if you're interested in helping us provide continuing education like we are today. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce you all to tonight's speaker. We have Dhaval Panchal of Evolve Agility, and he's going to talk to us about a systemic approach to coaching agile teams. If you all aren't familiar with Dhaval, Dhaval has been in the agile space for 15 plus years. He's really straightforward. He speaks in layman's terms, which I think is really great. And he really challenges us all to evolve in our agility. One of the conversations I had with Dhaval, he asked me, when was the last time I read the Agile Manifesto as well as the Scrum Guide? And it had been a while. And he said, well, I try to pick it up and read it every 3 months. And I thought, wow, if this guy has been doing this for 15 years plus and he still reads it and picks it up and gets some new learning, he's a really great person to have because he's passionate about agility and digital transformation. And he really keeps you on your toes. You literally get smarter by the minute. So with that, I want to turn over tonight's talk to Dhaval.
Thank you. I hope you all can hear me okay. Yeah.
We can.
Awesome. Yes, I mean, I am a firm believer in going back to the fundamentals. The more I think I know something, the less I think I have a grasp on the fundamentals. So I do tend to go back to first sources, back to the original document. It's a tendency. So even when I encounter a new topic, I would go back to the original research paper that was written on that topic, and then trace the whole path to whatever learning that has come about. That's a whole another story. I'm really excited you all are here for this talk. I pulled together this talk almost at the last minute. So I'm gonna do one thing before I forget, because I will lose track of the chat window at some point. Because once I turn my projector, my screen on, then I'll lose track of it. If you want a copy of the slides, there's a Google form that's up here. I'll send the link again. If you sign up over there, then I know how to provide you with a copy of the slides and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I'll share my screen. And Melissa, I have until 5:30, no? 5:45, 5:30? Okay. Could you help me so I can share my screen?
Yeah, I think we just need to give you some co-hosting.
Yes, that will help.
You should now be the co-host, Dhaval.
Yes, I think I should be. Okay, now I can share my screen, which makes life easy. Okay, cool. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of you after such a long time. So happy New Year to my friends out there. Chase, Marcos, Natraj, really nice to see you. Melissa, good to see you as well. And Eva, Sushmita, thank you for inviting me to this particular topic. Uh, the topic here on a systemic approach to coaching agile teams. In this particular topic, I want to draw a distinction between how coaching teams is different than coaching individuals. I'm not trying to compare that one is better than the other or not. What I'm trying to do is hopefully draw a distinction between the two different approaches to coaching individuals versus coaching teams. And I'm Dhaval Panchal. So nice to meet you all if I haven't seen you before. That was the link that I sent in the chat window, so it should still be there. I'll post that link again at the end of the talk. So first, the topic is around what is Agile Coaching Basics. Yeah, so just the very basic fundamentals about what Agile Coaching is. The topic is really vast. There is a lot of literature out there. There are a lot of people who've written informed articles and books on that topic. And rather than presenting their viewpoint, I'm trying to present my viewpoint in this talk. So it's incomplete, but it's something that I feel is true about Agile coaching in general. So before we go in, Melissa, is it possible for us to do a short icebreaker for 5 minutes? Like a breakout room?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I think I can engineer a breakout room. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a breakout room such that you are in a small group of about, say, 5 people. And what I'm looking from you to share is, apart from your names, hi, hello, I'm so-and-so, maybe share a small problem or a challenge that you have with your team. The breakout room will close automatically at 8 minutes. Yeah, so if it abruptly pulls you out of your conversation, I apologize for that upfront. We'll create 6 breakout rooms, no, 5. Maybe 10 more seconds as everyone.
Okay, we're all coming back now.
Yes, I can see that. Hopefully you got to
Yeah.
meet somebody new and you got to learn about them and their team situation. The reason I asked you to discuss a team problem or a challenge that maybe one of you shared was I wanted to kind of get into a more robust definition of what a problem is. And the way I would like to define a problem is a difference between things as desired and things as perceived. I'm borrowing this definition from Jerry Weinberg's work and one of his most influential book called Are Your Lights On? It's a book from the 1980s. It's a fantastic book. And I love how he defines the word problem as this gap between the way things are and the way you desire it to be. Now, how you perceive the way things are is also going to be of importance, you know. So when we talk about problem solving, when we say we are going to approach a problem and approach solving a problem, you can solve a particular problem by closing the gap between the current state and the desired state. So let's just say this is winter. So my current state is I'm feeling cold. My desired state is I want to feel warm. And I can close that gap by wearing a sweater. I can close that gap by having socks and some warm clothes or increasing the temperature in my room. And that will solve my problem. But sometimes the problem is not the problem. Sometimes coping with the problem is the problem. If you've ever waited for a taxi or struggled to find a restroom, you understand how coping with the problem becomes a bigger problem than the problem itself. Now, there are 3 ways to overcome a particular problem. Like I said, you can reduce the gap between a desired state and the current state, or you can improve your capability to cope with the problem. And last, and probably the most underappreciated way of solving a problem is to let time dissolve that problem. If you wait long enough, every problem disappears sooner or later. So when we look at coaching, what we are really trying to do is we are empowering people to find answers for themselves. In other words, when you encounter a coaching situation, the person that you're working with is trying to solve a particular problem. There is a desired state that they want to be at. There is their perceived understanding of where they are at currently or where they are at now. And as a coach, your goal is not to solve their problems, but it is to help them build the personal capability where they can set their own goals, build their own awareness about what's going on, and then explore possible ways forward. The reason we do that as a coach is to help them to own their own results. Because if you were to provide a solution to them, and if it worked, then it would be your solution that worked, not their personal capability at solving the problem themselves. So I want to define what the role of a coach is, right? And a coach will help a coachee to define the desired goal state. So say, for example, if an individual walks up, and not that this has happened to me, but if a team member walks up to you and says, hey, my hair is on fire, you can see there is no fire on his head. But at this point, as far as that individual is concerned, they are perceiving a state where their hair is on fire. So the best thing you can do as a coach is first acknowledge the reality as they are experiencing it, and then help them see where they would like to be. What is their desired state? They might be using the phrase, my hair is on fire, metaphorically, or they might really be thinking their hair is on fire, which is a whole another conversation. Well, our role as coach in this individual coaching situation is to help them explore their reality as they are perceiving themselves, then help them explore what options or obstacles are there for them to overcome. Ultimately, the role of a coach is to help the coachee own their own way forward. What that means is your coachee arrives at the best possible next step that they can take, not a step that you think they should be able to take. I want to now put the frame of the coaching into a much tighter box called the Agile Coach. To me, an Agile Coach draws upon from the Agile values and principles, the methods and the approaches that are prevalent in the industry, in the family of what we call Agile approaches. To me, an Agile coach is someone who plays within that realm of coaching, within the space of helping individuals learn how to apply Agile techniques, Agile mindset, Agile ways of approaching the world of work. They don't try to step into the space where a coachee might say, hey, how can I run a marathon? I doubt that would be a good space for an Agile coach to provide coaching at. So to kind of lay down some of the basics of what coaching the individual looks like at a very high level. Typically, coaching an individual starts with the relationship that you build with that individual. So even before you start or engage in a coaching conversation, you might want to talk to this individual as a person, just so that you both discover each other as human beings first. And at that point, you, as a coach, I would like to make sure that the person on the other end is truly interested in receiving coaching, and also give an opportunity for the coachee, potential coachee, to discover if I'm the right fit for them. It's not necessary that a coach will always be a coach for any individual on the planet. Sometimes there is a fit, sometimes there isn't. So let's assuming there is a fit, you would agree on some sort of working agreements between the two of you of how you're going to approach this coaching situation. And once all of that groundwork is done, then as a coach, you enter into a coaching conversation. Here, as a coach, you are helping the coachee discover their problem space and understand a way forward. A key thing that happens after this coaching conversation, which is follow through on the agreed upon actions. And this follow through must be done by the coachee. The coach cannot come in and do the work for the coachee. The coach cannot come in and solve the problem for the coachee. That must be owned and taken on by the coachee themselves. After they've taken some follow through, or if they haven't done any follow through at all, whatever the circumstance be, the coach and coachee realign meet again to check on what happened. How did it go? You might celebrate wins or discuss any challenges or roadblocks that got in the way of the coachee following through on the actions that they themselves agreed or at the time considered feasible. This arc of the coaching relationship between the coach and the coachee is at an individual level. For me, I've had a few tenets or beliefs about what coaching is, and I boil it down to three, basically eight coaching tenets that I keep dear and close to my heart. And of course, there are a lot of other techniques and approaches you can take, but I kind of feel like we can always experiment and believe and build upon techniques. But these are some of the belief systems that inform the techniques I get to use in any coaching situation. First and foremost, coaching is by invitation only. So if I'm participating in a coaching conversation with an individual, I must be invited to enter into this conversation as a coach, because I want to be explicit in acknowledging that now the conversation that we are having is a coaching conversation. Because for me as a human being to engage or treat every conversation as a coaching conversation will be exhausting. If you were to ask me about, hey, how is the football game? I don't want to step into that conversation as a coach and then say, can you help me explore how you feel about the football game? No, I'm just asking how is the football game, and we'll talk about the football game because we are two people just talking. Yeah. So one of my belief systems or tenets is first and foremost, be very explicit when you are entering a coaching conversation. I typically build that agreement with the coachee where I'll say something to the effect of, hey, we are entering a coaching conversation with the physical, like, the clicker, like, okay, we are entering in a coaching conversation. So now I can reframe the rest of the conversation as it is happening. And they also understand that we are now in a very focused, objective driven conversation, not bantering about football or something else. Because I do love to banter, but I do want to also be very explicit when I'm in coaching mode and when I'm not. Focus on coaching the person and not the problem. And last, the relationship between the coach and the coachee must always be a peer-to-peer relationship. And this is something that oftentimes get missed. And I've learned it the hard way over the years that Melissa said I've been practicing Agile and helping others to work with. You see this subordinate to a senior person relationship in coaches when a coach is working with an executive. At that point, if you take a subordinate role as a coach, your coachee, even though you think you're in a coaching relationship with an executive, they are going to fall into the tendencies of distributing tasks to you. So in that relationship, even though you think you're coaching, you're not. You're essentially someone who's executing on tasks for somebody else. You're not actually coaching. In other instances, the coach might take a superior relationship stance, and at this point, you are becoming a teacher or someone who is telling people what they need to do rather than treating them as equals. The ability to maintain this peer-to-peer relationship, irrespective of your coachee's title or position, is extremely important, because without that, the relationship goes out of balance. What I also think is important in coaching relationships and approaching the world of coaching is treat coaching as a skill, not as a title. In other words, I personally believe coaching is one of the skills that I have, in addition to analysis skills, in addition to development skills. And I'm not tied to being a coach in every single situation, or that is not the only thing that I do. So as an individual, I acquire skills over a period of time. And part of skill acquisition is knowing when to use a skill versus when not to. So I feel the coach as a title has often done this service to individuals because they feel compelled to take a coaching stance in every situation when that is not necessary. The coach and coachee have to discover fitness. Just because a coach and a coachee are not a good fit for each other does not speak good or bad about either the coach or the coachee. Oftentimes I've helped people find the right fit with the right coach because that was the right thing to do in that situation. As a coach, our responsibility is to do no harm. When you start working beyond the single individual, you recognize that the individuals have relationships that go beyond just you and the coachee. They have relationship with their peers, with other people in the organization. So your first and foremost responsibility as a coach is to ensure that you don't harm those relationships. So if a coachee were to come in and say, oh, you know, so and so, as a coach, I should never step in and either amplify or dampen that by saying, yeah, I totally also experienced the same with them. Because at that point, you are reinforcing existing beliefs about how that relationship, which is not going well, should continue to not go well. Lastly, coaching is not therapy. Please don't believe you are their psychologist. If you do, please get professional help first. Maybe they need professional help. Please don't try to find out what birth order they were and jump to conclusions about how they might be an employee in a team or a team member. Those are not our places as agile coaches to step into. So what is individual coaching? See, individual coaching primarily answers a question for an individual. Help me get better at, right? It is an individual level challenge where the individual is able to influence or build coping mechanisms at the personal level. Some examples are, can you help me get better at prioritizing the product backlog? Can you help me get better at working cross-functionally with a developer because I've never done that before? These are all individual challenges. When it comes beyond the single individual, that's where we kind of differ, or I'd like to go next into what it means to coach at a team level. Before I go into the team level, I just want to see if maybe one question or not, Susmita, if there is any question about what we have covered so far. I
Yes.
know we have a whole section for Q&A as a whole, but is there a question for the first
Yes.
section?
Yes, there's one from Vijay and Diane and Marcos. They're all asking the same thing: is coaching by invitation is missing in most of the agile coaching engagements because coaches are engaged by leaders to coach their teams. The teams don't invite the coaches. How might we address this?
Right. See, this coaching by invitation, the invitation must be offered by the coachee. Yeah. At the same time, if you are been asked by your organizational leadership to say, we would like to spend our organizational energy, dollars, time, investment in providing coaching to this group of people, be it a team or an individual. As a coach, you now have a responsibility to be transparent to all parties involved. So far in this situation, I see three parties: me as a coach, the other as the coachee, and the organizational entity that is funding this effort, no, because people are getting paid and so on. So if I were to approach, and Susmita, I'll pick on you, right? So if I were to come to Susmita and say, hey, I've been asked to be a coach on this team, can we have a first conversation to see if we are a good fit or whatnot? Yeah. And in this conversation, Susmita, you tell me, I don't think I really want coaching. This is a perfectly legitimate stance for you to take, but it also comes with a very legitimate response from the coach to say, I would like to be transparent with my management and inform them that this is not the right time or the right person or the right moment for me to spend your money and time here. So I will probably ask for a different team to work with and be fully transparent that you have expressed that you're not ready for coaching at this moment, right? And I would work on that statement together with that coachee, because I don't want to throw them under the bus. At the same time, I don't want to wait outside your door hoping that one day you would ask for coaching while the organization is burning through a lot of cash. So I hope I answered that question to some extent. We'll dig deeper into it when we come back at the end of this talk. Yeah. I'd like you to consider that a team is a totally different organism. Even though it is made up of individuals in the team as a collective is a completely different entity, a different being, a different thing than the parts or the members of the team. And what we often encounter is the story of the elephant and the blind man. If you haven't heard this story before, it's a children's story where you have 7 blind men and they're walking along. Here they have a doctor's coat, so they are probably really smart as well, but they are still blind. And as they're walking along, they run across a big elephant, and each gets to experience or touch or feel a part of the elephant. And based on their personal experience of what they touch, they declare that it's a spear because I've now touched the tusks of the elephant, or it's a snake because I touched the trunk. It's a pillar. Similarly, in any team situation, when you encounter a challenge that a team member expresses, and if I'm assuming you have a coaching relationship with this individual at this point, you're only going to hear about a part of the situation. You're only going to see or get to talk about the portion of the problem that that specific team member is encountering, when the problem is often much bigger and involves different people and different perspectives on it. So the key point to note with the elephant in the team or coaching teams is that no one may see the whole problem. You might have a conversation with one member or 2 members of the team and still only get a very high level or superficial understanding of what's really going on with a particular team. So as an agile coach, if I am helping a team, my role now shifts from not only just helping the individual, but to help the whole team to build a shared understanding of the situation, to help people build empathy for other people's situation. So if I were to have a conversation with an individual in a team, they said, you know, I'm struggling to finish my tasks because they all get thrown at me near the end of the sprint, and now I'm expected to finish all of this work before 5 o'clock the next day, and it's really challenging for me. As a coach, as a team coach, first and foremost, I need to acknowledge that I may not be seeing the whole problem. So is there a way I can talk to the rest of the team members and help the whole team to build a shared understanding of what's going on? And in that process, you'll have to help the other people of the team understand and empathize with this individual's situation. And in ways by using techniques like facilitation techniques, or even surfacing different viewpoints that people have, you'll have to expose how other people are coping with this common challenge, and sometimes build agreement on a commonly desired state. These are all team level activities, and there are different techniques and approaches you can take. But the key message here is when you're engaging with a team, you're engaging with the whole team. You're not just engaging with one member of a team. I use this canvas. It's not so much as a canvas. It's more like my own personal log when I work with teams. I've also used this technique in coaching engagements where people have, where I've worked with internal coaching groups at organizations. So I'll take a moment to kind of talk about this particular canvas, how I use it, and then also provide you 2 or 3 reasons why you should never use it. Because it's important, like you need to know when this is probably very harmful. Yeah, don't use it under these circumstances. So going back to how I started the talk. Yeah, I started the talk with 3 basic key points. Key point 1, what is a problem? So we define the problem as something that is a gap between the state that is desired versus a perceived state. This problem can be a team level problem or an individual level problem. When it is an individual level problem, we engage in coaching conversations to help them or discover a path forward so the individual can then go and act upon what they want to do differently. in a team situation, this is point 3, everyone only gets to experience a small part of the problem. So when I am engaging with a team, what I want to do is I want to understand how the same challenge or the same issue is being experienced by different people in the team. So I would say, okay, the team fails to meet definition of done. What do the developers think is going on? What do you think the product owner thinks is going on? What do you think the stakeholders think is going on? Depending on how you converse with the team and your awareness of the situation, there may be 3 or 4 parties involved in this problem statement that was presented by someone. It's also important to know who raised this issue, saying, hey, our definition of done needs to be looked at. So once I understand what's actually going on from different viewpoints, then I'd like to know how people are currently coping with this situation. So what is happening right now is the team is not meeting definition of done. How are we coping with it? Well, the team members are not holding each other accountable, because if you call a member out on missing or ignoring unit tests, then they are not nice to you in follow-up meetings or team events. So I generally just ignore. Yeah, that's how a team member might cope with this. How is a product owner coping with the same situation? Well, they're not even aware, so they don't know what they're missing out on, because the team has a very weak definition of done. Finally, go back to what is your desired state, and this desired state could be different for different people. What developers might want is some stability in the code base, so they could have a product that is a quality increment to work from. The product owner would probably want a feature to go out and not worry about bugs coming back into the team and take away future capacity for building new features. So what we are doing here is we are bringing the whole team perspective into how different individuals are being impacted by the same problem and what are their motivations for where we could be. Once you have clarity on this set or this understanding that this particular problem, when solved, helps people differently, you are now helping to build empathy within the whole team. After I've done this, the top portion, which I would spend some time with the team to validate and make sure, like, is this what is happening? Like, do we all agree, like, this is what is the current state for us? Yeah. Then I have a choice on how I would approach the situation. It really depends from team to team. Given this current state, I might just engage in a conversation with the whole team to say, why do you think this is happening? Like, what's going on here? And they will tell me something. Yeah. I could even take the top portion and talk to some senior members or people in, let's say I have an internal coaching team. I can take this to my internal coaching team and say, what do you think is happening here? Have you seen something like this before? So I can get a variety of viewpoint based on the way the current situation is unfolding. And once I have a reasonable hypothesis, it's a hypothesis, it doesn't mean that that is actually what is happening. Yeah, but it's a best guess of what likely could be happening. Then I can build a coaching intervention plan. I could say the team needs a working agreement, or the team needs a facilitated session to redefine their definition of done. We could say the team needs to do some kind of skills matrix exercise, like a market of skills. I can choose from a variety of intervention plans based on now understanding what the problem really is from different perspectives, from different based on how other people are experiencing the problem across the whole team, maybe even outside the team management may be involved in it. And lastly, I'm going to capture some way of knowing whether things are improving or not. Like, is there a measure or is there some indicator? Please don't confuse measurement to something that is measurable. I could say the team will have a more relaxed and a comfortable sprint planning. Now, I'm not going to take a meter and check for it, but I will know if I go into the next sprint planning that the sprint planning was much relaxed, there was less tension, people seemed to know what was going on. Yeah, I may not know exactly what the measurement unit is. Here are some example interventions. Yeah, I'm trying to provide you some idea of what the coaching response could look like. If you have an internal coaching team in your organization, this is probably a very good space for you to share a challenge that you are experiencing with the team that you're working with other coaches, and get their input and their insights. Who knows, they might know of some technique or some exercise or some activity that could be of help to you. Yeah. Now, on the back of that coaching canvas, I generally keep a record or a results log. This is pure observations and facts. Because one of the things about systems is systems, or this could be people, it could be teams, it could be anything that is not your washing machine. Yeah, because the washing machine is very programmable. It does exactly what it is programmed to do, nothing more, nothing less. Your cat will behave interestingly depending on different circumstances. Your team member can behave interestingly. So any living system, what they say and what they do can differ dramatically. So when we work with a team, which is also a living organism, you could have spent time understanding the current state, discussing with the team, agreeing with the team that, hey, we should do a backlog refinement session differently this time, and that will help with the prioritization. And then we say, okay, the indicator of improvement is that the product backlog is more stable because we refine it well. There are no changes introduced in the middle of the sprint. We built this canvas. We said, okay, great, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold a special backlog refinement workshop. Okay. Now I go to the same team and we set it up for 2 weeks from now or a week from now. A week from now, I go to the team and the team says, we don't have time to do this. So I would go and put a record or a log here. We don't have time to do this. Ta-da. And then I'll ask, when do we have time to do it again? And they'll give me another time. Next week, we still don't have time to do this. Week 3, we still don't have time to do this. Now, if I have a log of something like this, I can go back to this team and I can say, look, here's what we observed the challenge to be. You invited us to coach in this situation. You agreed to do X. And for the last 3 times, we have pushed out or deferred doing X. Is there something else going on here? Because it could be that the problem that they were exposing was not the real problem. It was maybe a very surface level issue. It could be that there is something more deeper going on in the organization or the team system. And simply by having a log of what happened, I can start to understand what dynamic is happening here. Yeah, it could also be a very positive story. Yeah, we agreed to meet a week later, so we met. We did a fantastic meeting. People loved it. Next result logs, slight improvement in product backlog stability. The product backlog is stable. No issues introduced into the sprint. So my coaching canvas is done. I'm going to put it to the side. Yeah. So good things can also happen. But unless you know like what happened over time, you will not be able to understand that system. And that's the motivation to capture some logs or results. And you'll always be surprised by the results log. Trust me on that one. Just try it out personally on a side. You don't even have to like make it public for the whole organization. Now, here are the benefits, right? You get to have a history. You can hold the coach can hold themselves and the team accountable to whatever the team, does the team really want to solve this problem? Because they might really enjoy not solving the problem, because those water cooler conversations are so much more fun than actually solving the problem and getting to the next state. So that might be what they're looking for. you can share and get help. It also reveals systemic issues that can only be unearthed after some period of time. Like only time can reveal some problems or challenges that your teams may be experiencing. So it allows for that to happen. And if the team is unable to solve a problem after many attempts at solving that particular problem, maybe check the water. I mean, some things, it's my way of saying like, we don't know what's going on. So let's go even dig a little deeper. Yeah. Back in India, we sometimes joke that in that town, the water is not good. Therefore, everybody in that town are a little upset with people. So that's a phrase. Okay, here's when you should never use it. Don't use it if you are in an environment where there is very low psychological safety, because dysfunctional managers will use this as a weapon. It doesn't matter what they tell you. If you have a doubt that they are going to misuse it, they will misuse it. So my recommendation is to use the canvas personally as your own personal coach journey. Like if you want to get better as a coach working with a team, first try it on your own on a piece of paper, just so that you can then reflect on how you are approaching a particular team situation. If you are in a group of coaches, have some kind of secrecy agreement that you will honor the right of privacy for the teams that you are coaching and the conversation that is happening within your coaching group. Or you can hire an external consultant and we'll put it into the contract, so then we can sue people if they don't follow the contract. Just kidding on the last part. Yeah, but there is benefit in getting external coaching agencies, because we can hold on to some of these things without the need to actually give it to your manager or supervisor. That's my main concern with the team coaching canvas. Really, is as a learning tool, it's a fantastic tool. Yeah, but if managers are looking for someone to blame, they might find this as a very easy target to mine. What is going on in most organizations? Individuals, we form our identities. I'm an analyst, I'm a project manager, I'm a scrum master, I'm a coach. We build our own habits, we have our own competencies, needs, aspirations, fears. There's a lot of things that are happening at the individual level. So this one-on-one individual coaching is primarily geared towards helping you make that shift from I am an analyst, or I'm an engineer, or I'm a project manager, to I am a titleless, role-less, cross-functional developer in a Scrum team, or a person who can grow different skills, not just limited to being one functional skill set. At the team level, you're encountering what's the purpose of this team, what processes does the team use? Are they using Scrum? Are they using Kanban? How are they working in their domain? What is their overall capability? Are they able to deliver on the outcomes that they're looking for? The organization, on the other hand, is a whole another system of culture, context, procedure, its history, the kind of environment it is in, whether it's a regulatory organization or not, who are your stakeholders, privately owned, publicly owned, what is the internal structure, matrixed, or is it hierarchical? So there's a lot of systems at play. And as a coach, you must enjoy the dance, because you can never control the intersection of so many systems playing at the same time. Yeah. So my ask is, try to follow where the energy is going. See if you can lead from time to time, and be prepared to fool around. Because if you take yourself too seriously, coaching will get really, really hard and difficult. Yeah. So I hope the coaching canvas, as I showed you, was one way of how I like to dance with teams, and trying to learn what's going on in the organization system, and hopefully make some changes for the whole team to have a better product development experience. So the company that I formed, Evolve Agility, we help organizations go through this agile transformation. We provide coaching in this space. We also help teams. We have a package or a service called the Agile Team Accelerator that can help organizations to reset or realign their teams so they can get better at working together as a single team. And of course, we have the training services. As Melissa said, they're quite immersive learning experiences. I do have to admit that I have now added a few PowerPoints just because we are now in COVID world. It's harder to make flip charts and interactive. But I hope this set of PowerPoints were pretty enough for the work that I do. I have a few upcoming trainings. There's the CSPO or the Scrum Product Owner training in February, and the Cal Leadership course, and then the advanced CSM courses. I like to split it out over multiple days with not 8-hour training courses, because that allows people time to not be on Zoom, because Zoom already has a lot of fatigue. Plus, it allows you to work at a sustainable pace. I think we are all working too hard. So if I could like give people time to catch up on email, and you can block your whole day, you're in training, you'd be in a state where you would learn more, when you come to the next day. So that's been my motivation to not make it 8-hour days of straight up training and be done in 2 days. Thank you. Open for questions or anything else that you have for me. I'm also open for any dialogue we want to have as a smaller group on this topic. My email is here, dhaval@evolveagility.com. There is a newsletter. If you sign up for it, you'll get some cool information from me from time to time. And yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out and connect. And I'm going to turn it over to you now, Melissa, so we can, or Susmita, so we can take any questions or anything else that you might have.
Gotcha. I wanted to thank you, Dhaval, first of all, as usual, like over delivered, right? Like I get so much value in such a short amount of time. I can't wait till the recording comes out. And I'm so glad we're recording because I couldn't take notes fast enough to capture everything. One of the things in our breakout session we discussed, which might be something that impacts a lot of teams, was what do you do as you're learning the roles and people don't follow through on their responsibilities? So the trust becomes eroded.
Right. I think I'm going to go here.
Okay.
Because in your example, I'm assuming it is a one-on-one coaching relationship.
So it's the Scrum Master not removing impediments for the team. And there's a lot of context missing there, right? Like sometimes the team will ask a Scrum Master to solve for world hunger, right? The power of influence sometimes has to be level set with what you can influence and what's outside of that circle.
Right. So let me build a scenario so maybe it's easier for me to navigate, right? So let's just say, Melissa, you're on an Agile team, and I am the coach assigned by the organization to be the coach in your world of work. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you walk up to me and you say, hey, Dhaval, our Scrum Master, Susmita, sorry to throw you under the bus, but our Scrum Master, Susmita, she's not removing any impediments. Now, as a coach, this already involves 3 people. It involves me, you, and Susmita. But Susmita is not in the conversation because she's not there yet. So as a coach, I have the option, right? I can say, Melissa, would you like to talk about it and engage in a one-on-one coaching conversation? So I may try that first, yeah? And through that coaching conversation, if I can help you to discover some way of how you can have that conversation with Susmita. To say, Susmita, it could be something like, hey, I expected you to remove this impediment. Can you help me understand what went on? Because that conversation could also be a non-conversation where, as an individual, you hold back and resent that your Scrum Master is not doing anything. Yeah. Or you might just go and yell at your Scrum Master, and now the relationship is broken. So we can try that one-on-one coaching, and at the end of it, what happens is you are, as an individual, better equipped to have similar conversations in future. Okay, let's say you tried that and it still did not work. Yeah, so we had our one-on-one coaching conversation, still did not work. At this point, I might say, so Melissa, should we pull Susmita in this conversation too? Because it looks like there is something on her side that we are not understanding. So for me, this conversation have now moved from an individual coaching conversation to a team coaching conversation, because now I have a developer or a team member and a scrum master in the mix. And when we start talking, we might realize there is another person that Susmita wants to bring into the conversation about the problem, that impediments are not being removed by the scrum master. Yeah, so that would be one way of approaching this, right? If I already have history and background with the team, I might even skip the individual coaching part and just say, let's pull Susmita in and let's build the top of the canvas together, because we know there's a lot more going on.
So
That's
Dhaval,
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
sorry,
Yes,
quick
Marcus.
question.
Yes.
So Dhaval, in this topic, so Melissa is she invited you to coach,
Correct.
but now Susmita will be invited to be coached.
Correct. Yeah, and that is a conversation that we'll have to have with Susmita, no? Because I'm assuming that when we say, Melissa, let's go get the Scrum Master and let's talk to her about this, I'm assuming the Scrum Master is willing to engage in that coaching conversation. Because if they are not, yeah, then it is a one-on-one coaching, because there is members of the team who are unwilling to participate at that level. So at best, what we can do then is to help the developer to build some coping mechanisms through that situation. Because we don't get to influence the whole system, which is the team. We are only getting to influence or help only one member of the team, yeah, which is a different type of support.
Thanks, Dhaval. And I was wondering if anybody else had any learnings from the breakouts or any questions for Dhaval. Are you guys all still awake?
There's actually a comment on the chat from Diane. She loved it a lot. Thank you so much, Dhaval. Wish I had it a couple of months ago, but will leverage your insights going forward. Much appreciated. Same from
Thank you,
Sharon.
Diane.
We're getting some good feedback from the chat.
Well, thank you.
So I have another question, since nobody wants to speak and they're all sleeping. Dhaval, so you come for a coaching engagement and then you realize they don't need coaching, they need training.
Right.
What next?
Like I said, no, coaching is a skill, no? So you can use that skill or use some other skill. Because if I walk into a situation knowing I'm only going to use my left hand in everything I do, then it's not going to work out. You know, there's only so many situations that demand that skill, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you.
And were there any more questions? I wanted to make sure we have Heather Rainey on. She's from our NASA group. So most of you guys that are tribe members know last year we partnered with NASA and we have these quarterly meetings with them, which is why it's at 4:30, which I think is pretty cool to have an early start time. And so Heather, I wanted to hear from you on representation of NASA, just if you guys had any feedback for tonight's presentation.
I think it was a great conversation or a great presentation. I think that the information was wonderful. I would love to see more more acceptance, I guess, and more progress towards Agile growing seeds and becoming rooted in the organization. And we've had conversations before about how to become an Agile organization that we've done throughout this year, and there are baby steps being taken in spots around the center, but everything takes its own time, and government has its own time frame that's different than many others. But again, planting the seeds and exposing people so that we can start asking questions and people can begin to see things through a different perspective and can see value in this is very helpful. So I would also like to say that this is just over a year ago that we first started. We had our first in-meeting over at the Gilruth Center at JSC in January of 2020. And then, of course, coming into April, we were going to have another one. But, of course, March pandemic time has hit. So I am just delighted that we've been able to keep it up and keep this moving even with the pandemic. And I look forward to seeing people in person over at the Gilruth Center again.
Yes, I know Wade Pender was really disappointed. He couldn't tell his parents that he was speaking at NASA.
We aim to go ahead and correct that in the future and make it happen.
Yes, and I know you guys are eager to learn about some Kanban trends and maturity models. So we're going to have Dan and Jean from Agile Earth speak to us later on in the year, in addition to our learnings with Dhaval tonight in evolving from a coaching stance, which is really needed on a Scrum Master level as well. So I hope all of these learnings combined. I love when vendors like Agile Earth and Evolve Agility get together, because I think it shows the greater power of the community and how both these tools can be leveraged, and these experts that we have here in Houston could really work together to educate a client like NASA, right? Which is known across the nation and across the world as having a dynamic space program. So on behalf of the Agile Leadership Network, special thanks to Susmitha Vemprala for doing our programming for tonight. And we want to recognize that it is Black History Month, and we will be continuing the programming and celebrating that diversity. So stay tuned for that. And on that note, you guys stay safe, stay brave, and stay agile.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, if anybody wants to hang out for the after party, Susmitha and I usually get lights out until everyone's gone. And hi, Melissa Clark. Thanks, Dan. Hi, Ron. Glad you could make it. Thanks, Jean.
Hi, Melissa.
Thank you so much. Hi, Melissa. Eric, glad you can drop in. VJ,